Hi everyone, tomorrow the Zookeepers animal pack gets released, and today we're gonna take a quick look at what you can do with the pack. Just like last time, the pack is a pack that sacrifices one exhibit animal for a bunch of scenery pieces, and the scenery pieces this time are really good, and that is what this video is going to focus on. Now, before we get started, I want to give you guys one little disclaimer. There's nothing wrong with your audio. I just have a cold. I'm sorry about that. My voice sounds a little bit different than usual. I'm being very brave about it, but there's nothing that I can do about it. But anyway, let's get back to the video. In the background, you might have already seen some of the mini builds that I've made for this DLC, as the pack is primarily focused around celebration. And I like that idea so much that I wanted to do things with that. I wanted to see if we could bring the kind of celebration to a zoo. In this video, it's going to be St. Reginald Zoo, merely functioning as a background for the builds. This is not another St. Reginald Zoo episode. But then I thought, like, okay, what are the main celebrations that a zoo does? And of course, you have an anniversary, but the three celebrations that I've seen in zoos the most were Halloween, Easter, and Christmas holidays. So like, for me, that made the most sense to replicate. And you've already seen quite a few of the builds, hopefully by now. It depends how long I'm talking. Probably you'll already have seen two. I hope you've seen more than that by now. But yeah, I'm going to go to each individual mini build that I've made, and I will talk a bit about those builds. I will talk about what pieces made me want to build the builds that I made, and how you can use those pieces in really cool ways. And at the end of the video, we're also going to talk a little bit about the animals of the pack. I personally believe that the scenery is a highlight of this pack, and that's why I want to highlight it as much as possible. If you are looking for a very specific animal build, or if you are looking for a nice list of all the pieces, I'm sure there's a bunch of content creators that are going to do that. I know Caesar Creates always makes amazing videos about that. I know that Pacha and ZWED Chess Plays probably have amazing builds ready for you to see. So for me, this is just going to focus on the scenery pieces and creative ways to use those. So let's dive into that. Starting with Halloween, one of the things that zoos usually use as a celebration or as a way to decorate their zoos, I was inspired by this little piece, this end piece for the metal set. When I looked at it, I saw a top hat, and that quickly led to a snowman, and that then again led to this scarecrow. And whilst I was working on the scarecrow, I quickly realized that this paper tassel piece here was ideal for the arm pieces, because it can recreate this fake looking plant texture. So I'm looking forward to what other people are going to do with this piece, because I think you can do really cool things with it. On top of that, I also made these little mushrooms, which is because of this piece. This is the middle piece of the flower. You can create with this in the petal pieces. And this is one of my new favorite pieces, and one of the pieces that I'm going to be using a whole lot, because I feel like you can do a lot of cool stuff with this. So I'm really looking forward to what everyone else is going to do with it. And finally, we have the paper card sign. The paper card sign is really small, really thin, and it is smaller than the smallest text sign we had so far. So that allowed me to make these really thin, really small little graveyard pieces, and make the Zoo Boo sign that a lot of zoos have. And this is probably one of my favorite pieces, because it's such a versatile piece. And I'll show you why in the next build that I'm going to highlight. Because yes, you can use this little piece as lots of different things, and if you're crazy enough, you can use it to make roof shingles for a roof. Do I say that you should be doing this? Probably not, because you're going to get thousands and thousands of pieces. Is it worth it? Yes, it is. I like it so much already. Being able to give each roof shingle its own little color and changing the rotation and everything with that, it's just so much fun, and it was really, really fun to do. As you can see, this build is themed around Easter, and that was mainly inspired by this lantern piece. It's called a plain lantern piece. For me, I first thought it was a balloon piece and that it had to be combined with the string, but apparently it's just a lantern piece. But when I saw it, I saw Easter eggs, and I really went like, well, zoos have Easter celebrations, so let me make a few Easter eggs with a few shapes. And yeah, I really like this piece. I also think it's pretty useful to make sculptures with. Like I can see this being part of a body of an insect, or like very specifically like ants or bees. Like I can see this being used for that. But then we get to one of my favorite pieces. Once again, I'm going to say that a lot in this video. The string piece. The string piece is absolutely perfect. It's a super thin piece of string. And we already had a single piece like that for the Grasslands pack, a single pole piece. But this DLC comes with a whole variety of those in all kinds of shapes, and you'll see a build later on in this video that uses this string piece again in a different shape. But that is just fantastic, and it made me want to make these little Easter decorations, these made out of paper. Because we have a very thin piece now, it's very easy to make these and make it seem like someone hung these up when they were making their Easter decorations. Okay, cool. We've seen 2 out of the 3. Let's go to the second to last build, which is the build for Christmas. In the final set of celebration builds that I made, I was inspired by holiday and Christmas celebrations, and this was actually the first build that made me want to go for the celebrations theme in this video. And that was mostly because this piece reminded me of a top hat, and then I was like, hey, we have a carrot piece, we can basically make a snowman. And with some fiddling around, I created a regular version and a lantern version, both of which are commonly found in zoos. Usually the lantern version is combined with a kind of winter light celebration, which is something that I've seen in quite a few zoos. I know that in both Europe and in the US, this is a very common practice. And I'm going to assume that it's also something that is happening around the other parts of the world. Now, on top of that, I quickly realized that these metal ball pieces would be ideal for these Christmas decorations. And one of the things that always kind of bugged me is when we got the Arctic pack, we got a decorated Christmas tree, but most of them were really large. And you had no way to basically decorate it in the way you want to decorate it. And in this case, I knew that we could finally make our own custom decorated Christmas trees and make our own Christmas ornaments. And it's really fun to do. I kept it relatively small because I didn't want to have like a huge tree in this video, because that's what we already have. But with the larger ball pieces, I'm going to assume that you're going to be able to decorate even bigger trees and make like more trees that are more fitted to your specific zoo instead of the version that we got from the game. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. This is what really started the build, and I'm very happy with the 3 celebration themed mini builds that I've done. Before we move on from this, I'm also going to show a few other builds that are more centered around the Zookeeper part of the Zookeepers animal pack, because I found a few cool uses for some of the other pieces that we still have left. Alright, and as I said, we have some cool Zookeeper pieces as well. Finally, it took us 5 years, but finally we have these kind of iron wire pieces, is probably the best way I can describe it. Finally. I am so incredibly happy with these. We've been using approximations for these for the longest time. Like we used planks, we used poles, we used the little posts for the TV piece. Like we've used everything. And then recently we got the rough rope piece, which was a good start, but it never had the metallic shine to it. So when you were close to it, you could always see like, oh yeah, this isn't metal, this is a rope piece colored in silver. But this time around we have these metal wire pieces. These are going to be excellent for builds with elephants, rhinos, any kind of bigger animal that's quite strong. Another cool use for this piece over here was not just the little mushroom pieces, but also a strawberry pie, which I thought was really cool to make. I can see many uses for this piece. I can see people make many different kinds of desserts and like a hamburger sign and like all kinds of stuff like that. I'm really looking forward to what people are going to come up with this. I also talked earlier in the video about how there was the string piece and how you could use that in a very cool way. Well, this string piece is a 1 meter piece and that it's curved, and that makes it so freaking useful to do the one thing that we've been wanting to do for a very long time, which is making hot grass. This is a kind of grass that's been used by zoos to make sure that animals stay in the same place without guests being able to see what that is. They usually don't see it. They see, wow, there's a small moat here, and that's everything that's keeping the animal inside. But that's not the case. It's hot grass. It's these small wire pieces which are turned on by electricity and give a little zap when an animal gets too close. And we've been trying to do this with a whole bunch of pieces, and I made a small, short, small, thinner version of it. I've seen wider versions in real life as well, and I'm going to assume that you can make these with the piece as well. And it's just so incredible. From a distance, within a set of foliage, you can barely see that these are actual electric wires. And that makes my heart so freaking happy, because yeah, this is incredible. I've been wanting to make these things for so long, and the grassland piece was almost perfect for it, but was still quite clunky. And this is just perfect, and I'm very happy with this. With this, we basically took a look at every single piece that I wanted to show, every single build piece that I made. We're gonna talk a little bit about the animals, about the pack now, with another look at St. Reginald Zoo, because we once made a habitat for Egyptian fruit bats with spurred tortoises, and now we can actually have that in the game. So let's have a look at that. And now we get to the animals. Now, as I said earlier in the video, the highlight for this pack for me are the scenery pieces. I think those are incredibly good. I never made it a big secret that I wasn't a big fan of the pieces in the Barnyard pack. I felt that those were a step back from the very good approach that Frontier used to have, which was create a build and then turn that build into all kinds of separate pieces. And Barnyard didn't do that for me, whilst this pack that really did that. Now, the animals themselves, I personally really like. Like, there's a bunch of really cool animals, and Whilst I personally feel that some of the fur work in previous DLCs, like in the Eurasia pack, is of another level than the animals here, I still think these are pretty well done. There's nothing like sticking out that makes me think like, oh, I can't play with these without a remaster. These are absolutely fine the way that they are. My personal gripe with the pack is, and it's a very difficult gripe to have, because usually I am of the opinion that you should judge a pack for what it is and not for what it could have been. That's just not fair. But given all the points that are pointing, all the signs that are pointing into the direction that this might very well be the last pack deal, last pack Planet Zoo gets, I must admit that there are a few animals in here that I would have switched for a different animal. We are looking at the African spurred tortoise here, and whilst I think it's one of the best models and textures that they've done so far in a long line of really good animals, this one is really at the top in the top for me. But I would have switched it for a different animal. I like the idea of creating a celebration pack and going for fan requested animals, but I think the phrase fan requested animals was doing a bit of heavy lifting here, because there were a few animals in this pack where I was like, okay, those were requested, but there are other animals like a coati, like a tree kangaroo, like a secretary bird, that were more requested, were heavily requested than some of the animals in this pack, like the spurred tortoise, like the markhor, like the dik-dik. All fine animals, fine additions to Planet Zoo in their own, and I'm very happy that we have them. But it doesn't take away that I feel like this is the last DLC, and I was really hoping that one of those 3 animals would be added to the game. Now, in all honesty, it's a difficult gripe to have, and it's not majorly impacting how I feel about this pack. The pack is really decent. I'm very happy with it. I would say to anyone, if you're starting with Planet Zoo, this is one of the first packs you should get. There's too many good pieces in this, and there are very nice animals in here as well. So go ahead, use it. But it will always be a little bit, and tainted is the wrong word, but also the right word, by the idea that, hey, there were a few animals that I still really wanted, and those aren't in the game now. So it's a difficult thing, and it's hard to judge this pack by that sentiment. So I'm trying my best not to do that, because I also am very much of the opinion that everyone has their own list of animals that they really still wanted before the end of the game, and probably everyone has one of those that they are thinking about right now, that they were like, oh damn, I wish that animal was added to the game as well. So to round it off, this is a good pack, and is a good way to celebrate Planet Zoo and probably mark the end of the DLCs for Planet Zoo. Do I think it's impossible that there are more DLCs? No. Do I think it's probable? Also no. I think this is as close to an end that you can get. And I think I want to end this video by saying thank you to Frontier for all the support in these past few years. Not only to us as a community, and but also to me as a personal content creator. It's been an incredible journey. I've loved it so much. This is one of the most amazing games I've ever played, and I'll keep playing this. I know that I'm going to be playing Planet Coaster 2 as well, but Planet Zoo is always going to be the number one in my heart. So yeah, thank you to Frontier. Thank you for everyone in the community. Thanks for everyone who's part of Bro Nation, who makes my day every single day with all their amazing builds. I can't wait to see what you're all going to do with this pack. There's so many cool pieces. I hope you felt inspired after this video. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video. Bye.